Now we're talking about length, the units and the conversions. Length is probably one of the measurements that you've been doing for the longest amount of time. Like in second grade, you would be doing measurement both using made up measurements, like how long is the length of my finger, and how does that compare to the length of my foot. And you would also be using things like centimeters and inches. So you've been doing this for a while. But today, as fifth graders, we're going to be talking about doing that with conversions. So, our standard length in the metric system, a lot of times we'll think that that's centimeters because that's the one we're most familiar with. But actually, the standard length in the metric system is a meter. And a meter is about the length of a guitar, just for your estimation purposes. So it is longer than a foot, um, more similar to a yard. But since we're working in different systems when we're talking about that, just think of guitars. How many guitars long is it? All right. And in the metric system, again, we use the kilo, hecta, deca standard unit of measurement, which is meters in length. Then we have deci, centi, and milli. So within meters, it would take 1,000 meters to make 1 kilometer. It would take 100 meters to make 1 hectometer. It would take 10 meters to make a decameter. And then going on to the other side, it would take 1,000 millimeters, sorry, excuse me, 1,000 millimeters to make 1 meter. It would take 100 centimeters to make a meter and 10 decimeters to make a meter. So, what that conversion would look like is if I have 550 millimeters, how many centimeters do I have? Well, the first thing to ask myself is for 1 centimeter, how many millimeters do I have? Well, for 1 centimeter, I have 10 millimeters. And since I am realizing that a centimeter is bigger than a millimeter, I'm going to be dividing here. And so 1 millimeter is a tenth the size of 1 centimeter. So I'm going to divide my 550 millimeters by 10, and I will get 55 centimeters. So there's 55 centimeters in 550 millimeters. Our length in the US customary system, we have 12 inches equals a foot, 3 feet equals a yard, 5,280 feet equal 1 mile, and 1,760 yards equal 1 mile. These are all arbitrary numbers that are kind of hard to remember. So if I were you, I would just kind of practice those. 12 inches equals a foot. 3 feet equals 1 yard. 5,280 feet equal 1 mile. 1,760 yards equal 1 mile. All right. So, what our conversion will look like in the US customary system is if we have 12 feet, how many yards do we have? Well, we want to think about this by saying, okay, well, how many feet does it take to make a yard? Well, it takes 3 feet to make 1 yard. And so we're going to say, okay, well, if I know it takes 3 feet to make 1 yard, I know that my units are going to be getting smaller. And so that means division. So 12 divided by 3 is going to give us 4 yards.